Hey, this is Brian from the Triceratones for Pi Records. We're going to do a What's My Gear segment. First, a little background on the Triceratones. We're a new project. We are a four-piece band from Philadelphia. We focus on garage, surf, kind of with a punk edge. I don't know, man, it's all new to us, but we're having fun and we hope you enjoy it. We have an upcoming record, a demo album coming out, recorded right here in our secret evil lair. The album will be called Demos and Train Wrecks, and it'll be available on all streaming platforms April of 2025. With that being said, let's get to the gear. I guess we'll start with the guitars. This here is my main guitar for this project. It is a Squier Classic Vibe Jazzmaster, which a ton of people are playing right now because they're really, really great guitars for a little bit of money. You know, I think I spent like $250 on this brand new years ago when they first came out. I did a few things to it. I changed the pickups. These are Brandon wound pickups. I've never heard of them, but I really dig them. I think they sound really great. They look and sound just like Jazzmaster pickups, but they're humbucking. What else have I done? The three-way selector and the volume and tone knob are pretty normal. I upgraded the electronics. The rhythm control switch, normally when you flip that switch, you just get your neck pickup and then a volume and a tone up here, and it's a darker, more rhythm jazz type sound. And it was cool, but I didn't find it super useful. So I cut this switch out and this tone knob, the volume knob and the tone knob. And now the switch is a phase switch to put the pickups out of phase, which is a pretty useful sound sometimes. Setup wise, I shimmed the neck and raised the bridge to get a proper down pressure on the bridge here, because in every other project I'm primarily a bass player. I'm not really a good guitar player, so I'm pretty heavy-handed, and you know, I just needed more down pressure so the strings wouldn't pop out of place, and it seems to work pretty well. I enlarged the hole for the tremolo arm because it was kind of getting hung up here and there, so I just drilled a bigger hole and it worked out. And back here I put a piece of felt to stop the sounds when I'm recording. These sounds drive me crazy, so that piece of felt there, no matter how hard I play, really, I don't get any odd sounds back there. And it's yeah, man, it's a killer guitar. Stays in tune. That's all I need. From there we go through our Triceratones green cables, and I'll bring the pedal board up here. We got a few things going on. Once again, homemade. I try to make as much of my stuff as I can. We start with the most important pedal. That should be the most important pedal on anyone's pedal board, and that's the tuner pedal. Just your standard Boss TU3, nothing special. But out of every pedal I own, this is the one that has been on every single gig I've ever played. So that's important. Next, for a light overdrive, I'm using a Tube Screamer TS9, which was given to me by a great friend of mine, Bill Kearns, which played with some, you know, he's played with some really great players, but I think he was in the Blessed Mothers when he gave me that. And then for a heavier overdrive, I'm using a full tone OCD. I'm not sure which version it is. It's an earlier one, I don't know. Sounds cool though. This is a speaker emulator, which I never use, but since I'm using a tube amp that I handmade, I'm afraid that thing's going to go down any second. So the speaker emulator is, in case my amp goes down, I can plug directly into a DI. This is the cheapest speaker emulator I could get. I don't even know what it is. It's a Rowan. Rowan? I don't know. A Rowan Shaper. I have no idea. cheapest speaker emulator I could get. So I could go directly into a DI if I have to and use the monitor rig and the PA in a dire situation. And the last pedal I have here is a WHATS DM2 bought by Boss. I have an original DM3 and it's really killer, but I tried this DM2 reproduction and I like that a little better. So that's, you know, I use that for solos and some other you know, rockabilly type stuff. And in addition to that, you know, I have the old Fender vibrato and reverb pedal. We come to this. This is my Falcone branded super duper reverb. You know, I couldn't afford to buy amps that I wanted. So I got on YouTube. I started watching 40s Navy basic electronic videos, and I learned how to build amps. And it's been a really, really fun hobby. I really enjoy it. I'm such a nerd about it. So this has 4 10-inch speakers and all your normal super reverb stuff. But I added some mods here and there. I increased the mid-range a bit, and I goofed around with some of the mix stuff for the reverb. And let's hear what that sounds like. So we have the regular reverb that every Fender amp has, you know, and it'll get good and surfy. But I try to keep it around 4, because what I did was I changed this normal channel. This normal channel is now a 3-knob reverb, so I could add all the reverb I want, and that gets really like almost out of control reverb. And I love it. You know, a lot of we do a cover of Cruel Sea, and you know, that reverb just can be way too much, and it just, I love it. So that's my amp, you know. You know, it's still on the foot switch. Reverb I'm using, it's still on the foot switch, and you know, we have the normal vibrato, and that's that. You know, like I said, the delay is for when we're doing more rockabilly kind of stuff, which we do every once in a while, and that's my rig. Let's move on to what Jay is using. Unfortunately, I don't have Jay's pedals here today, but I do have the amp. Okay, Jay in a live situation is using this Marshall DSL-40, which is, man, I dig this amp. A lot of people really trash it. I think they're cool. It's got a great clean sound, and also, you know, it's got a killer drive channel, you know. What more could you want? It's inexpensive, sounds good. The reverb in the amp is a little lacking. That's cranked. So in the effects loop, we use we're going to be using this 63 Fender reverb pedal, which kills, man. I love it. it does exactly what it needs to do. You know, it's that's it. Other pedals he uses a delay pedal similar to mine, and he also uses a tube screamer for a lighter overdrive. Not much else to say about that. He also plays a Squier Classic Vibe Mustang. I just grabbed my Strat because the pickups are kind of similar on those. So that's it, man. Pretty simple setup. Let's move on to Parker's bass. Okay, so this is Parker's. This is just a rehearsal bass rig. Depending on the size of the room, sometimes we'll use this 210. Other times we have a Mesa single 15 that we'll use, or sometimes we'll stack the 15 on top of the 210 on top of the 15. You know, depending on the size of the room. The head we're using is a Gallion-Kruger MB500. Once again, super light, fits in a gig bag, sounds great. It's loud as heck. We have a Mexican jazz bass from the 90s, which I changed some things around on. I mean, this has been my main gigging bass for 20 years, and I really love it. I changed the pickup. These are Seymour Duncan Antiquities in this, and I changed the pickup covers to closer match. You know, I wanted the whole bass to match the Jazzmaster a little better, so I put the 60s stacked knobs on there. You know, with the tone on the bottom, the volume on the top. That's about it for this bass. It sounds really good. Once again, we're going through a Boss chromatic tuner, the most important pedal, and we also have a VHT tremolo pedal on the bass. So, yeah. And for certain songs like He Never Came Back, we used a tremolo. You know, it's a pretty cool sound. I dig it. You don't hear tremolo on bass live very often. The VHT also has a reverb side, but we don't use that very often. That's Parker's bass rig. Let's move on to Josh's drum setup. Okay, this is Josh's drum setup back here. What we have is a Sonar Arena Maple. It's all maple shells. It's a couple of years old. Sounds killer. 24-inch kick drum, which is big, but you know, I like it. It's a solid sounding bass drum. It's all mic'd up right now. Basically, when we record stuff back here up in our secret evil lair, we use 4 tracks. We have a mic on the bass drum. We have 2 overheads set up in the John Glenn style, and SM57 on the snare drum. And that's how we get our drum sounds. Occasionally we throw up a room mic, but that's about it. The snare drum is a pork pie bob, which I believe it's a chrome over brass pork pie snare. Sounds decent. I like it. We're using all Evans heads. On the bass drum, we have Evans 56 heads. On the beater side, it's an Evans EMAD Evans 56. So it's got the fake calf skin, you know. and it's got a big warm sound. I really love it. The snare drum is, that's it, man. It sounds like a snare drum. It's cranked up high. That's an Evans dry head. The rack tom and the floor toms are Evans G2s. And as far as cymbals go, we have a mostly Sabian, 15-inch medium complex hi-hats. They cut through, they sound great. There's a little tambourine on the hi-hats. We have a Sabian raw bell 16-inch crash, and a Sabian AA 18-inch crash. Sound great. And for the ride, we have a Pasty Masters 22-inch crisp ride, a Rosie. That's it, man. That's Josh's setup. He does a really great job with it too. It's a lot of fun. So that's it. This has been the Triceratones What's My Gear segment for Pi Records. We got a few gigs coming up, and we're excited to get this thing really rolling. Like I said, look for our new demo record called Demos and Train Wrecks, which will be streaming on all streaming platforms in April of 2025. Thank you.